Welcome to lesson 2.5. I know that in the lesson package I called it 1.5, but that's a typo. It should be 2.5. We're going to be talking about dividing by a monomial today. And as a general introduction, if we up top had a number times some letters, and then there could be more than one, but on the bottom, we also have a monomial. That's going to be a number squished up against some letters. The way we're going to deal with it is we're going to look at the numbers on their own. And when we're looking at the numbers, we're going to simplify as if it is a fraction. So when we're looking at the numbers, we take them on their own and simplify like it's a fraction. And when we're looking at the letters, we will simplify using the exponent rules. And in general, we're going to be subtracting exponents because we're going to be doing division. Exponents of same base powers. And I'm going to use some other simplified language as well. I'm going to be talking about whether the numerator or up top is going to win, or at the bottom the denominator is going to win. So question 1 asks us to simplify two terms. So if we look at just the numbers first, we've got 10 over 5, which simplifies to 2 up top. And then we've got A6 over A4. That means 6 A's up top, 4 A's down low. So we're going to be left with 2 A's up top. Then if we look at the B's, 3 B's up top, 2 B's down low. So the top's going to win, and we'll have 1 B. And if there's anything, there's not really anything left behind, so that would be like 1, but we don't have to write that denominator of 1. Question 2, looking at the numbers. So the numbers, we have 22 over 11. That gives 2. Then looking at the x's, 2 x's up, 1 x down, so up top wins by 1. Looking at the y's, 4 y's up top, 1 down low. Y up top wins by 1, or 4 minus 3 is 1. And then finally, 1 z up top, 3 z's below. So that means the bottom's going to win, and it's going to win by 2. So I'll have z squared on the bottom. Here's our first one where we have the numbers turning into a fraction to simplify. So we would have 2 over 3, because 10/15ths divide top and bottom by 5, we get 2 over 3. Looking at the x's, we left with 2 x's up top. Looking at the y's, we've got a y to the minus 1 here, but really, if we move it up top, that'll give us a y to the 1 up top. So y to the 3 times y to the 1 is going to give us y to the 4 up top. Question 4, looking at the numbers, minus 9 over 6. We can divide them both by minus 3. So we'd be left with 3 up top, 2 down below. The x4 over x to the minus 5, it's like that x to the 5 is up top. So x to the 4 times x to the 5 gives me x to the 9. And then looking at the y's, I've got y3 up top, y to the 4 in the denominator. So the denominator is bigger by 1, so I'll end up with y in the denominator. It's the exact same as if we did subtracting with exponents, and I'll show you just with that. If we looked at x over 4 over x to the minus 5, using the exponent rules, we would do x to the 4 division, so we subtract minus 5, so that'd be x to the 9. And similarly, if we were going to do the same with the y's, we'd have y to the 3 over y to the 4 equals y to the 3 minus 4, which would be y to the minus 1, which would give me 1 over y. So exponent rules work, or we can just sort of think about how many each exponent means of each variable we have up top. Question 5 asked us to find the missing dimensions in the rectangle. So they've given us the area, and if we call this the length, if this is the length and this is the width, we know that area equals length times width. So we know that 4x squared y equals, well, length, we have the length. We know that it's 2 to the y. So 2y. And then the missing dimension is going to be w. If we want to get w by itself, we're going to have to divide both sides by 2y. So divide by 2y, divide by 2y. When we do that, if I rewrite it, and I will just to make it a little clearer, we get w equals 4x squared y divided by 2y. We're going to use the new rules we learned. First, we look at the numbers. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. X squared, there's no x squared in the bottom, so it stays up top. And then y divided by y, it goes away and we cancel. So therefore, it asked us in words, so we answer in words. The missing dimension is 2x squared. Challenge question. So here it tells us that the dimensions of this rectangle, it wants us to find them, and it tells us that the area is 160 centimeters squared. But it also happens to tell us this. So if we're looking at that a little more closely, let's just start though with the basics, right? If we know that if I have my length and this is my width, we know that length times 5x, let's do it a different way. Just to start, we know that length times width equals the area, right? If we're trying to find the length by itself, we could write that length equals area divided by width. And I'm going to do it like that because that should make it a little bit easier. So our length is going to equal 40 x squared y squared divided by 5xy. Following the rules, 40 over 5 gives me 8. X squared over x gives me just 1x up top, and y squared over y gives me just 1 y up top. So our length equals 8xy. And then we've got this other piece of information. We know that 160 also equals our area. So 40x squared y squared. I'm going to divide both sides by 40. So I get 4 equals x squared y squared. And for here, there could be some weird decimal ways of doing it, but we're going to use guess and check to see some number squared. So some number squared times some other number squared equals 1. So the first perfect square I know is 1. I'm going to guess that x equals 1. That means x squared equals 1. So I'd have 1 times y squared equals 4. And if I think about a number that's square that equals 4, I could think that y equals 2. So one possibility would be x equals 1 and y equals 2. And if we put that into these, x equals 1, so 8 times 1 and y was 2 would give us 16. And then 5 times x was 1, y was 2 would give us 10. So, and just double checking that, 16 times 10, length times width, would give an area of 160. So our final answer could be that, therefore, x equals 1 centimeter, centimeter, and y equals 2 centimeters. Don't forget your units. Question 7 has something new in it. It has 2 terms up top split with that minus sign. So we're going to split each fraction into several fractions, and then we're going to reduce each, like the trick says. So in this one, I'm going to take this as one fraction, and then I'm going to take this as a second fraction, and I'm going to rewrite them and then simplify. So it'd be 4x cubed over y squared divided by 2xy. That's my first term over the denominator. I'm going to be really careful, make sure I include that minus sign. So minus, there's the minus sign, minus 8x squared y over 2xy. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, x3 over x is x2 up top, y2 over y is y up top. 8 minus 8 over 2 is 4, x squared over x is x, y over y just goes away. And that's it. That's our final answer. You're done, you stop. You cannot combine the like terms because the first one has x squared y, the second one has x. We stop. We're going to do the same thing for this next one. We are going to take the first term and the second term, rewrite them. So minus 27 x to the 3 y to the 5 divided by minus 3 x squared y plus 18x squared y to the 4 over minus 3x squared y. And we'll deal with it term by term. So minus 27 over minus 3 is 9. X to the 3 over x to the 2 is x up top. Y to the 5 divided by y. 5y is minus, that's a ghosty 1. So I've got y4 plus 18 divided by minus 3 is minus 6. So I can actually, the plus minus will just turn the whole thing into a minus 6. X squared divided by x squared goes away. Y to the 4 over y to the 1 is y to the 3. The third one of these has 3 parts, so we're going to, 3 terms up top, so we're going to split it into 3 separate fractions. So the first fraction, writing it out, 10x3 y to the 4 over minus 10x squared y squared minus, because it was a minus sign, minus 5x squared y to the 5 over minus 10x squared y squared. And then the last is plus, because it was a plus. So plus 15xy squared over minus 10x squared y squared. And fraction by fraction now we're going to simplify. 10 over minus 10 is minus 1. x3 over x2 is x. y4 over y2 is y2 up top. Minus, and then I'm going to look at and combine that other minus so that I get plus 5 over 10 is going to leave me with 1/2. X squareds cancel out, and y3, y to the 5 divided by y to the 2 is just y3 up top. For the third fraction, I've got plus minus, which is going to turn into a minus. 15 over 10 is 3 over 2. X over x squared gives me an x in the bottom, and y squared over y squared, those cancel out. So that's our final answer. And we could write it without all the ones, so we could write it or minus xy squared plus y cubed over 2 minus 3 over 2x. That also would work as an answer. Question 10, the instructions. Simplify by simplifying brackets first, then the exponents. When it says simplify the brackets first, to me, when I think about this, I don't know why it's not turning into a nice rectangle there. It means simplify what I call the guts of the brackets. Guts of the brackets, the inside of the brackets. So the first thing in this question that we're going to do is we're going to simplify the guts, and then we're going to cube it. So if I look at that highlighted pink fraction, minus 49 over 7 leaves us with a minus 7 up top, X squared over X leaves me with an X up top. Y to the 3 over Y leaves me a Y squared up top. And there is nothing in the bottom. There would be a 1, but it's not really there. And that's all to the exponent 3. So when we do this, we distribute that 3 onto every part. And I'm going to write it out with gory details. It'd be minus 7 to the 3 times X to the 3 times Y squared to the 3 after we distribute that exponent. So to be minus 343 X cubed. Y squared to the 3 is a power of powers, so we multiply. We're going to multiply those exponents, so that would be Y to the 6th. And that would be our final answer. So if you think about it, we did the guts, and then when it was the exponents, in this case, for the then exponents, it would be distribute those exponents. For the next question, we've got some guts for our brackets to do first. We've got upstairs guts and downstairs guts. The second, so first thing, not terribly mathematical, but first we're going to do the brackets. Then we're going to do the exponents. So we're going to distribute the exponents. And then the third step is going to be to simplify, which in this case will be to divide. So first we do the guts. Up top, 2x squared times minus 3x. Number times number gives me minus 6. X squared times x gives me x to the 3. That's up top, all squared. Over 4, because there's a ghosty 1 in front of the x squared. And then x squared times x is x to the 3. And this whole thing is going to be to the 3. So I've done the guts. Now I'm going to distribute that exponent. So up top, the 2 is going to go on the minus 6 and the x cubed. Down low, the 3 is going to go on the 4 and that. So I'll write out again in lots of detail. Minus 6 squared x to the 3 squared divided by 4 to the 3 x to the 3 to the 3. That's going to give me 36 up top. X to the 3 times 2 is 6. Divided by 4 to the 3 is 64. Divided by power of powers on 3 to the 3, x to the 9. So now I simplify my fraction. Those are both divisible by 4. When I divide them both by 4, I get 36 divided by 4 is 9. 64 divided by 4 is 16. And then 6x is up top, 9x is down low. So I'm going to be left with 3 x's in the denominator. And we're done. Question 12. There are no exponents outside the brackets. So in this one, I would do the top, and I would do the bottom, and then whatever that is, we'll do the division. So we'll do the top first. So minus 4 times 2, number times number is minus 8. 8 to the 4 times 8 to the 6 is 8 to the 10. B5 times B7 is B12, and that's all over. 9 times 5 is 45. A2, A3 is A5. B8, B9 is B17. So we'll simplify the fraction. Minus 8 over 5, nothing in common, so it just stays minus 8 over 45. A10 up top, 10 A's up top, 5 A's down low. So up top has 5 left over. B12 up top, B17. So the bottom's bigger, and we're going to have 5 B's left over in the denominator. And that's it. So we're done lesson 2.5. Thanks for watching.